Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reclaimed Ranch. My name is Terra, and today we have 5 projects that are thrifted items we are going to turn into high-end decor. So we're starting off with this little Frenchy planter. I wasn't real keen on the color of it, but if you've been following me, you know that I have a boxer and 2 Frenchies, so I had to pick this up. So I'm just taking some rub and buff and a little sponge, and the first coat basically I just smeared on. And that's going to give me a good base to then add more layers to it. So here we are on the second one. And now I'm going to just use that sponge and dab up and down in a stippling motion and create more texture to it. And I did do 2 coats complete, and then I just touched up a couple areas after that. So it has a good finish on it, and I love this color. This antique copper is one of my favorites of the rub and buff. And so I do have affiliate links through Amazon if you're interested in the rub and buff. It's a great way to change up something small and make it more higher end. And then I did seal it with a clear matte spray. The second item I got at the Value Village for $5.49. It's a terracotta pot, very heavy duty. And I apologize, I did not push record when I was putting the white wax on. It was white wax from DIY. And so I waxed the whole thing, and now I'm just taking my shop towel and I'm going to remove some of that wax on there, and that's going to give it like more of a Pottery Barn kind of look. So I had this piece of wood, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this nest on top with a screw in the middle first, and then I'm going to take some hot glue and kind of glue down some of the sticks. And I apologize, I'm a little out of frame here, but I'm also going to, I have these little nests that I got from a thrift store quite a while ago, and I'm going to just tear apart one of those nests and use that as a filler underneath. You can see here, this is that little nest, and I'm just going to hot glue underneath so that you can't see through the bottom of the nest, the big nest, in those grapevine pieces. And that's going to create a little more depth and definition. And I could have painted the base, and I'm kind of still teetering on the idea of doing that. But I really love the color of this natural wood base. And so I'm going to put it in the store and see if it sells like it is. If not, if it doesn't sell within a month or so, I'm going to go ahead and I'll bring it back home and maybe do some milk paint on it with white or something. But for now, let's see how it does. And I'm probably going to add one little tiny, well, it can't be too tiny because those eggs are pretty big, but a little porcelain bird in the nest as well. So this fourth project here is going to be this lampshade, and I love the feeling of it. It feels like a faux leather. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my Fusions cashmere, and I'm going to give it 2 good coats of cashmere. And honestly, now that I'm done with it, I am going to go ahead and say I probably should have done 3, because when I turn the light on, you can see it coming through the streaks of the paint in some spots. So just make sure if you're going to do something like this that you test it with a light and make sure that you have full coverage and don't see any streak marks before going on to the next step. And that next step is we're going to play with the paint inlay. And I know a lot of you out there have not tried inlays. They are not as scary as they seem, I promise you. And the inlay that I'm using is IOD's Melange. And it has several small little pieces that you can try instead of trying to use one big full one. In fact, I create quite a bit of cuts in this one that I'm using, and I just love it. It's got beautiful florals and botanicals and like some old scissors and a bee. And so see here, I'm going to go ahead and cut this flower up, and I'm going to cut it pretty close to the actual image. And that way it's going to lessen the chance of getting what's called a halo around the image when you do your paint inlay. And you can use either paint or you can use a top coat of your choice to apply these inlays to your project. And today I'm going to be using my Fusion Matte top coat to be doing this project. So you don't want to throw these away because you can't get up to 3 uses with these. They just have a little bit more of a vintage feel each time you use it. It gets a little bit lighter. So I have this piece of plastic and I'm going to use it as a barrier. What you want to do is put your inlay face down or paint down where the grids are showing up, and you're going to take your mister and you're going to spray it really well. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up the fibers in that paint inlay and get it ready to adhere to your project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my Tough Coat mat and I'm going to give a nice even layer. You don't want it super thick or super thin. Otherwise it can kind of create some differences in your inlay, the way it releases. So another thing I have to mention is got to be careful when you're using a sealer, because I was kind of forgetting what I was doing and I was acting like I was decoupaging, and I got some of the lines kind of sealed down. So it was a little bit tough to remove in some areas, but just kind of be cognizant of that. And so I've got my even coat on. I'm going to take my inlay and lay it on where I want it to go. Sometimes you want to just try and put it straight on and not move it, but if you need to, you have a really thin timeline to be able to do that. Otherwise, the paint's going to start smearing. So what you want to do is you want to place it down and then use your finger to rub out all of those air bubbles and make sure that paint is contacting your project really well. And it kind of flipped over there on me, but see here, right there. That's what I was talking about. I sealed it on there. Oh, wow. You live and you learn, right? Learn by my mistakes. So I'm just using my finger to kind of pat it down. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the next step here. And I'm going to go ahead and put all of my florals on all the way around one at a time. Just makes it a little bit easier that way. So again, you can use your fingers. Some people, this is kind of a harder surface because it's, you know, a lampshade, but if you're working on a flat surface, a lot of people use brayers, or even like a wet baby wipe or paper towel to kind of push it down into your paint or your sealer. So again, I'm going to just continue on and I'll let you listen to some music until we get to our next step.
Headlights on the highway. If you only knew, being back here always makes me think of you. When the world is sleeping, do you think of me? With the road ahead's coming back again, coming back to me. I remember the long drives, the late nights in your car. I remember it all. Windows down, empty streets, you were all I used to know. You and I, forever, forever ago. And you used to drive me home. Now I drive alone. You and I, forever, forever, forever ago. This town's so quiet, this time of year, with the road ahead's coming back again, coming back to me. I remember the long drives, the late nights in your car. I remember it all. Windows down, empty streets, you were all I used to know. You and I, forever.
Okay, so I've let it sit for a good 30 minutes, let it completely dry. Then you're going to go back in and use your mister and spray it really well. Get it nice and soaked, and then let it sit there for about 30 seconds, and then you can start pulling your inlay away. So I'm having a little bit more of a tougher time because, like I said, I accidentally sealed some of the ends. So please don't be worried, but it still turns out really well. And so you just kind of pick out a corner and remove the edge there. And if it's not coming off, just spray it again, let it sit for a little bit longer, and then go back in and try and remove it. So I'm just trying to get my little edge up first. And like I said, I'm kind of being a little impatient probably. I should have just let it soak a little bit longer. But once it starts going, then it's fine. It was just those edges that were sealed. And you can see how gorgeous these come out. They're so pretty. And you want to make sure not to touch them while they're wet because it can really smear easily. And so you can see here I'm reapplying some water, and that's going to help it soften up a little bit more. And then you just slowly pull down and watch the release and the magic happen. So you can see there's a couple lines on the very top rows, and that was probably because it had a wrinkle in there, but that's totally fine with me. I actually like that look. If you don't, you can go in with a little bit of a paint marker or a paint pen or a little bit of paint and an artist brush and just lightly color those in, and nobody will ever know. But I just love these inlays. They're so gorgeous, so detailed. It's like a stamp, but it's paint, and so it gives it a little bit different feel and texture with this. Now, some people tend to go ahead and let it dry overnight, and then they seal it with like DIY's Big Top. I could have sealed it with my Fusion Matte, but I am more geared to do a spray sealer on these because I've had in the past some projects really go awry because the sealer reactivated the paint and it smeared really bad. So I'm just kind of being more on the cautious side, and I tend to use the Rust-Oleum 2x matte clear spray, and I did 2 solid coats of that on, and now it is good to go. So I hope you like this project because I thought it turned out really pretty. And I'm going to put it in my extra bedroom that I'm redoing. I'm going to do like an English garden type theme in it. So be looking for some projects for that. That'll be super fun. And actually one of the projects, it's going to be a big one because I got from the store, one of our customers asked if I wanted an antique set. It came with a dresser and a bed, and it is gorgeous, super, super pretty. And so of course I said yes. So I will be making that over, and I will be videoing it, of course, because she wants to watch the makeover as well. So here's a couple areas that did smear, and so what I'm going to do is just take a little artist brush, go back in with my cashmere, and just lightly go in and cover those up, and no one will ever know. And that's what I love about this, is that if there is a little boo-boo, you can always fix it. So don't be afraid to use these inlays, you guys. I know they are costly, but like I said, if you find one that you can cut up into a lot of pieces, which is most of them, go ahead and do it. These are just so worth it, and they give your project a higher end look. And yeah, and the inlays now with IOD, they are actually a limited release on each one of them. So once they're gone, they're gone. So that's kind of tricky. But yeah, usually you can find one that has a lot of different areas you can cut up. So if you ever have any questions, I'm here and available to answer those for you as best as I can. Here I am just going to go in and do one quick coat of the sealer, and then I did let it sit for about 15-20 minutes before adding the second. And then for the base, I'm just going to go in and paint it coal black by my Fusion paint, and I'm going to give it 2 full coats, and then this will be done. And if you're interested in Fusion paint at all, I carry all of the Fusion products on my website at thereclaimedranch.com. And I also do redesign with Prima, which we will see the new decoupage paper in one of the next, I believe it's the next project actually. And so if you're interested in those as well, those are on the website. Okay, this final project, I found this huge oval wooden sign. It was actually super cute, but I don't own Shih Tzus. So, and my laundry room is not big enough for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint the rim of it with my Hotel Robe Fusion milk paint. And again, if you're new to milk paint, it's a 2-part paint. It's 1 part powder and 1 part water. And you mix it together and let it sit for about 10 minutes. And that's going to give you a really cool finish. Typically on surfaces that are already have paint on them or already finished, you can get a really cool crackle effect or chippy effect. If it's on raw wood, like I used the Fusion milk paint on my back deck, and it actually soaks into the wood and gives a super smooth finish. So I love milk paint because the shelf life on it is infinite. It's in a powder form, so it never goes bad. But once you go ahead and mix it, then you have 24 hours to use it. So I did use my Fusion's picket fence. I did 3 coats in the middle, and now we're going to go back to the milk paint, and it looks pretty chunky to me now. So I'm going to go in and just paint the rim of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to force it to crackle and chip with my heat gun. And once it does that and it's all dry, I'm going to go in with some sandpaper and smooth it out and take out all of the chunks that are kind of cracking off. And then I'm going to go ahead and do another coat and then do the same thing. Use my heat gun to make it crackle. Use my sandpaper to smooth it out and get some distressing. And then milk paint does need to be sealed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Sweet Pickin's dark oil wax. And that's going to go down into those cracks that the milk paint made and make those come out and pop. And it looks really, really cool. And it also just goes ahead and seals up the paint. So once that is completely done and ready, after I've wiped off all of the excess oil, I let it sit for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to use Redesign's new decoupage paper called Bountiful Beauty. And it is 3 papers that are just beautiful florals, and it just reminds me of like cottage core or shabby chic, maybe like in the England countryside or something. It's just, they're so pretty. And so we're going to go ahead and decoupage one of those into the middle of this, and it just turns out beautiful. Now I am going to go in, I'm going to wait until tomorrow, let it dry overnight. I'm going to go in with some parchment paper and my iron. I'm going to put it on about medium high, and I'm going to place the parchment paper on the decoupage paper, and whatever wrinkles are left, I'm going to go ahead and just iron out. And so I like to just wait a good 24 hours before doing that, just to make sure, because a lot of times those wrinkles will work themselves out. So the back obviously was very beat up, and so I'm just going to go ahead and go in with my Fusion's Coal Black and give it 2 good coats, and that'll make it look a little bit nicer for selling in the store. I like to also, finish the back side of things, even though people don't see it. It's still just nice to do, and tells people that I take pride in my work. And I actually forgot to mention that I bought this huge piece, and it is heavy. It's solid wood for $9.99, you guys. And it's just kind of crazy some of the deals you can come by in a thrift store, and then you turn around and do a couple of things to it, and you have a very high-end, elegant piece that you can either sell or display in your own home. And that's kind of how I started, was I started flipping my own stuff for my house, and then really started liking doing that. So it became a business all of a sudden. But it's super fun. Okay, you guys, so Bountiful Beauty, here it is. And these are just so pretty. So pretty. Look at these roses. I love the colors of these blues. That was a dark moody one. And this one has florals in a vase. Of course, that's not going the right way, so I can't use that one. But then there was this one, you guys. So pretty. Look at these peonies. I just love these. Do you guys say it peony or peony? It's like tomato or tomato. But anyway, so I'm just going to crease it and then we'll cut it out and decoupage it in with my Fusion's decoupage and transfer gel. And I like to do a starter strip, work my way to the side, and then put the decoupage on top. So I'll let you enjoy some music and you can watch this beautiful piece come together. Okay, here is the final look at everything. I love my little Frenchie, so that's going to be my favorite, even though that gorgeous peony picture is just to die for. But I am curious to know what your favorite is for this week, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing and push that like and notification bell so you know every time I upload a new video. And I will see you guys next Friday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you then. Bye.